I've done over 200 real estate deals here on the island of Puerto Rico, totaling millions and millions of dollars. And I've only been a real estate investor for nearly 26 years now. Right now, I'm going to share my top 5 red flags while shopping for deals on the island of Puerto Rico. Let's go! Red flag number 1, dying locations. If the area ain't growing, your money won't either. There are places on the island that look gorgeous. They've got mountain views and they're quiet, but peace and quiet doesn't pay the mortgage. We once looked at a 3-unit property in the mountains near Utuado. The price was really low. It was pretty good. I think it was 45 or 50K on the whole thing. And it looked like it could be a slam dunk. But when we drove the neighborhood, we realized it was dead. There were lots and lots of shells, many other properties that were like this one at or near the same price. And the truth is, nobody was living there. There were lots of houses with board-up windows. There wasn't any construction going on. It was a long way to get to the shopping center, so no restaurants. There's just no reason to live there. And the population on the island of Puerto Rico has been diminishing or going down over the last few decades. And so these areas that look like they're dying aren't necessarily the best place for you to park your money. I personally don't like to drive up into the mountains, so we have stayed away from these mountain towns that seem like they're dying. Red flag number 2, bad title or airship nightmares, we'll call it. If you don't own it clean, you don't own it at all. And you might think that you're buying it from Uncle Tony, and Uncle Tony might even think that he owns the damn house. But when you dive deeper into these air properties, you almost always find that it's not just one owner, it's 7, it's 8, it's 22 on one that we recently looked at, and you've got to make a deal with all of them. So I don't like to do those deals. They're very costly, very time consuming, and you may never get the property. I'll give you an exact story of one that I've recently passed on that I tried to buy for over 2.5 years. I was looking at a property in Rincon, Puerto Rico that connected to one of my properties, and I was dealing with one of the heirs from Florida. And it turned out that by the end of the day, instead of having to make the deal with just this one lady, it was 22 different people. And the price kept going up. The goal line just kept being moved further and further and further away. So eventually we just had to wash our hands of it. I couldn't continue down the path. I tried for a couple of years. It didn't work out for me. Somebody else was able to buy it at a significantly higher price than I did 3 or 4 years after I started the initial negotiations to buy it. I was originally going to buy the property, and it was 2 crappy houses on a not great lot, but it connected to mine, so it would have made sense to me. But I was going to buy the 2 houses for a couple $100,000. The person who ended up getting it ended up paying $100,000 more than that, and they've now subsequently renovated the property. But for me, it just wasn't worth the effort. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Everybody's sitting around waiting for the market to crash. And meanwhile, I'm buying, flipping, and wholesaling every single week. Smart investors don't time the market. They create it. I'm Robbie Krager, the Flip Flop Flipper, and I've done over 3,000 deals from the mainland U.S. to the island of Puerto Rico through every kind of market. And if you've got capital sitting still, you're losing money. The best opportunities are happening right now for those that know how to find them. Most of the info out there online is recycled, and I'm not teaching what used to work. We're showing you what's working now in today's market. Join me November 4th, 5th, and 6th for Freedom Flippers Live. This is an online event, so no travel, no hotel, just 3 days of active investor strategy. We'll cover finding deals, structuring partnerships, creating cash flow, operating your deals profitably, and this happens no matter where the market goes, up, down, or sideways. Click the link, grab your seat, and log in ready to get to work. Stop waiting for the crash. Start cashing in now. When you're looking at these estate properties, you just have to make sure that you're getting everyone who's on title in the same room at the same time and that everybody's in agreement. So back to my example, we knew that there were multiple people on title, and then over the couple of years, different people would die, and then there'd be even more people on title. It's really a nightmare. Unfortunately, the way that properties pass from heir to heir here on the island of Puerto Rico, it's something called forced heirship. In other words, you can only dictate through a will a certain portion of the property, and another portion of the property will automatically go to your next closest heir. So if grandma and grandpa die and they leave it to their 6 kids, and then one of the 6 kids dies and he's got 6 kids, you've now got 5 kids plus 6, 11. If someone else dies, this is how it balloons. You guys see what I'm saying? It's a nightmare. It's an unfortunate way that they have this set up. Many people think, oh, this is great. This is culturally what we want. But this is exactly why many properties on the island of Puerto Rico sit and just go into decay. It's because the people who have inherited them may even not be on the island. They're just off doing their life somewhere, don't even realize that they've inherited the property, so nobody's taking care of it, and stuff that sits distressed and decayed doesn't get better over time. Time is not the friend of these properties. These zombie houses, they get worse and worse. There is good money if you can put the pieces together, if you can figure out the jigsaw puzzle, you can make a fortune. For me, it's just not worth it. Red flag number 3. Remote areas that seem cheap. Cheap deals in the middle of nowhere are usually cheap for a reason. We had a student from our Apex community send us a property in Luisa, which is just outside of the San Juan metro area, and it's kind of remote and hard to get to. The deal on paper looked like it was fine. It was $45,000 or $50,000 on a big lot. It was a distressed house. It seemed like something that would be up our alley, and he was telling me that he wanted to Airbnb it. So this property actually ended up being out kind of in the sticks, and it wasn't exactly close enough to the beach to be Airbnb. It wasn't really close to anything. There was no internet, power grids, bad all over the island, but it's really not that good when you're out there in the rural, in the middle of nowhere. When the power goes out, you're the last one to get it turned back on. So there were a whole bunch of negatives and a bunch of reasons that indicated to us that this wasn't a great investment. Maybe the most significant was trying to get contractors to leave the metro area to go out there, even though it's maybe only a 45-minute drive from where they would ordinarily be working. No one wanted to go look at it. So we thought if we weren't going to be able to send a contractor out there to even get a bid, how are we going to get a crew of men out there to do the work? And even if he did get this place looking tip top, who's going to want to stay in an Airbnb that's out in the middle of nowhere, not really close to the beach, not really close to the mountains? Here's the lesson. Don't fall in love with the price. Fall in love with the plan. And fall in love with the properties that are going to make you money. Red flag number 4, fantasy after repaired value numbers. If the numbers are based on dreams, you're going to wake up broke. We recently had a wholesaler pitch us a deal in Carolina, Puerto Rico, which is a place that we like to buy. He said the comps showed that it was worth $500,000 fixed up, but when we dug deeper into the comps, what he was doing is he was pulling comps from a gated community nearby. So this house was outside of the gated community. Those inside the gates were much newer, more modern, and bigger. And so now these houses outside of the gates aren't worth $550,000. Maybe they're worth $350,000. And fortunately for us, we lived in the gated community, Vista Mar Marina, and so we knew where he was pulling the comps from, and it was definitely significantly nicer. And even though it was only maybe a quarter mile away, which ordinarily would be a good comp for you as a real estate investor, we knew, because we knew the area very well, that he was pulling comps from a completely different animal. And that's not a good way to invest your money. If we had relied on that wholesaler and believed what he said, you could have easily lost 6 figures. Guys, when you're dealing with wholesalers and you're letting other people tell you what the comps are, you have to verify this stuff. Use your own numbers, do your own research. It's super important, guys. The number one rule of real estate investing is don't lose money. So you can't be bullied into buying stuff. You can't be tricked into believing that something is worth more than it is. You have to put in the work. I love wholesalers and we buy from them all the time, but these dream scenarios on what properties are worth after repaired value, they're a recipe for disaster for you. And this is a big one. I mean, this is probably the one that more people will get burned on than anything else. If you go into a deal that you've bought poorly thinking that it's going to be worth more than it's actually going to be worth, if the numbers don't work day one, they're not going to magically get better as you put money into the property. And red flag number 5. This is unique to Puerto Rico. Verbal deals without attorneys, or handshake deals, you might call them. We've done lots of handshake deals. They're perfectly fine. But on the island of Puerto Rico, you want to take that handshake and turn it into a contract and get it over to a closing attorney as fast as you can, because you never know what you're going to find. The person who thinks that they own the property might not own the property, or maybe they own the house, but they don't own the dirt underneath the house. And you're not going to find that until you have a contract in hand and you give it to the notary public, who's going to to close the deal, and they do a title search for you. And here's the truth. When you're doing handshake deals really anywhere, but even especially in Puerto Rico, but this happens in Florida too, if you don't know what you're buying, you might not be buying what you think you are. I don't know how else to say it, guys. Put your deals in writing. Take them through the proper channels. Have the title search done. Make sure that the person you're dealing with is actually the owner on title. There's nothing worse than buying something from someone on a handshake deal and them not being the actual owner. I think Puerto Rico is the best place to invest as a real estate investor. It's where I'm spending most of my time and investing most of my money. And we have had a great experience on the island. If you can avoid these 5 things that I just told you, you have a recipe for success. Puerto Rico offers the good life, and it's the best place in the world to be investing in real estate. The locals know it, and so do I. And if you want to become a real estate investor, watch this video that we just put out recently on how locals can get rich and fix the housing shortage all at the same time.